What I'm going to share with you on this video is a writing of an experience I had in 1990. And this write-up was done for my publication at the time, Temple Doors, issue 4, 1990. I came across this article in my files just the other day, and I read it, and I was like blown away. You know, I just cannot remember over 50 years of work that I've done what I wrote back in 1990, what experience I had back then. So it sort of dimly came back to me as I read it. And I thought, I need to do a video on this now. I didn't think it was any coincidence that I would come across it now by hapstance, which of course it was not. And then my friend told me that in that period of time, right when I found the file, a day or two before or after or something, this is, as I'm talking to you now, this is March 28th of 2022. Just in that time frame, that very time frame, the Pope had finally consecrated Russia. It was in the media, so I missed it, but she said it's been out there for a few days now that this happened. All of this, of course, I really found very compelling, that I would find the file right in the midst of all that's going on and of the Pope consecrating Russia, because that is what Lucia said the lady told her needed to happen. Before I read you the article, in it mentions the Ormid and the Kaaba. The Ormid, Thoth also refers to as the cube of stars, and the Kaaba, the black cube. They both serve a function in the cosmic all. And the Kaaba, of course, has taken a physical form in Mecca. It's a complex subject, but basically there is a process of reconciliation between the two fields, the two universal fields of the Ormid and the Kaaba. And that needs to take place for us in our holographic universe, and for us as a planetary grail that collects that energy and consciousness in this universe, in our holographic perspective. So all of that figures into the picture, but I'm just telling you this little bit right now so that you can kind of grasp what that means in relationship to what I'm going to read you. And so now the article. On the night of December 11th, 1990, during meditation on the Ormid and the Kaaba, I was visited in spirit by a young woman wearing what appeared to be an old-style nun's habit. She was in a position of prayer, looking up at me, yet beyond me, with great intensity. Her eyes were like vessels of light. Her hands were together, clutching a white lily to her breast. I noticed that behind the lily could be seen blood on her habit, at the place of her heart. It was as if her heart was bleeding through her clothes. She repeated only one sentence to me, or perhaps through me to some greater source her eyes seemed ultimately focused upon. She stated in an imploring yet sweet voice over and over, "Pray for Russia. Pray for Russia." As she continued to repeat this phrase, it seemed of itself to become a prayer. I strongly felt her emotion and became one with it as I began to repeat with her the same sentence. In discussing this vision with a friend a few days later, she reminded me that the young girl Lucia of Fatima was presented with a vision in which she was told certain revelations that had to do with Russia. My friend then told me something that I had not previously known. Lucia was instructed in the vision to give this information to the Pope, asking that he release it to the people. However, once the revelations were given unto the papal authority, they have not to this day been released in their entirety to the masses. And I believe that to this day in 2022 they have not either, although I seem to recall something else was released rather recently, but not the whole of it. Then I saw a painting of Lucia receiving these revelations. Her back and slight profile is seen kneeling. Upon closer inspection, I can see that she is depicted in this painting wearing a nun's habit. Although in the painting her habit is black, in my vision it was a deep sky blue. The following is a statement on this vision by the Blue Army of Our Lady of Fatima. And I quote, "One of the most important of all the revelations of Fatima is the last great vision in 1929. It appears to be a synthesis of the entire message. This vision was unknown to the world until it was revealed by diocesan authorities, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for the Golden Jubilee of Fatima. Previously, it had been made known only to Pope Pius XII in a personal letter from Lucia. In her words, Lucia describes the vision. Suddenly the whole chapel was illumined by a supernatural light, and a cross of light appeared above the altar, reaching to the ceiling. In a bright light at the upper part of the cross could be seen the face of a man, and his body to the waist, the Father. On his breast there was a dove also of light, Holy Spirit, and nailed to the cross was the body of another man, the Son. Somewhat above the waist I could see a chalice and a large host suspended in the air, onto which drops of blood were falling from the face of Jesus Christ and from the wound in his side. These drops ran down onto the host and fell into the chalice. Our Lady was beneath the right arm of the cross. It was Our Lady of Fatima, with her Immaculate Heart in her left hand, without sword or roses, but with a crown of thorns and flames. Under the left arm of the cross, large letters as of crystal clear water, which ran down over the altar, formed these words, Grace and Mercy. I understood that it was the mystery of the most holy Trinity, which was shown to me, and I received insights about this mystery which I am not permitted to reveal. Our Lady then said to me, the moment has come when God asked the Holy Father, in union with all the bishops of the world, to make the consecration of Russia to my heart, promising to save it by this means. And so now in my article of 1990, I continue and I say, but what has this to do with the Middle East, the Ormid, and the Kaaba? One clue can be found in the name of Muhammad's most famous daughter, Fatima, which in Arabic means shining one. While as of this writing, that would be in 1990, I am still only on the periphery of understanding the entire connection, I am being shown Russia as one of the nations of light to be redeemed, to be given back its life's blood through the redemption of the Kaaba, and most vitally through the redemption light molecule, the Imstra. I pause in the reading here to say that the Imstra molecule, which I have been speaking about for many, many, many years, is essentially that particle of light that is in the quantum field within our physical and non-physical experience. It creates the true divine envelope of light that causes us to be able to ascend into the Godhood. And by that I mean beyond the state of this holographic field. not to go too far with this, but the essentiality of it is that other off-world beings, many of them cannot do that. They may be able to, go through wormholes and time travel and all of that, but they're really not escaping the half-light spectrum to be able to go into the full-light Metatronic spectrum. Of course, we have our star kindred that can certainly do that and more, but we are actually angels with clipped wings in a way, because we have this Metatronic ability through the Imster molecule, and yet we're not using it. We don't know how to activate it fully. And this is something that must happen, of course, as we go into the world system 2 of the new Earth star. And so this redemption that is being spoken of here, and I continue reading, plays an even more essential role in that the healing of the wounds of the Magda, the great feminine bound to earth through the trapping of light within the elemental plane, will be centered in the very heart of this ancient land, somewhere within Russia. Thoth tells me that there is a place in the heart of ancient Russia where the Magda took up the wounds. A more down-to-earth meaning for this would seem to be that the Dharma destiny of a specific sacred land area or ancient goddess shrine in Russia is to become the focal point for the healing of the wounds, as it was once the place upon which an archetypal scenario occurred that created a great wounding of the goddess. However, if Russia as a country cannot be redeemed as a true nation of light, then this place of the wounds cannot become active, and the redemption cannot take place. Without this redemption of the wounds, the Kaaba cannot come into its full function as the opposite working pole of the Ormid. As complex as this all may seem and removed from everyday experience, I cannot forget the very personal plea of the young woman whom I now believe to be Lucia Fatima, clasping the whiteness of the lily to the contrasting crimson of her bleeding breast. Pray for Russia. In 1990, I received this prayer, which I believe came from an aspect of Lucia, even though she was still alive then. Lady of the Pearl Rosary, we beseech thy blessings and those of thy Holy Son, that these most munificent pearls of light enter unto the nation of Russia, unto the heart of the people and the sacred temples of the land, and into all the places of profanity and vice, removing one by one the thorns pressing upon the skull of life, until all resolution is accomplished and the host is seen to be amongst the people. From his body doth the communion be accomplished, yet not of his flesh will suffice, nor of his blood quench, but from his most effulgent spirit the spring of eternal waters will burst forth, and from this bosom of the earth's Madonna, so the people and the nation will be cleansed and joined as one. In the name of the Father, the Mother, the Son. Amen. Now, at the end of March in 2022, we see the world seeming to come apart, and Russia is playing a key role in one of those aspects. And in fact, according to my understanding from the Thothic perspective, Putin plays a large role in the new order or the new guard of the owl. But it is really, even though it's a big role in the sense of certain changes that are going to take place, it is really a small role in the whole of the picture. It's about Russia and Russia's decision as a nation, as a spiritual consciousness, what steps it will take next. And if it takes the higher path, there will no longer be a threat in that region. It will become a place of light. Not perfect, but I mean there will be a regeneration starting to happen. What is the timeline for all of this? I don't know. But things are happening very quickly on this planet right now. That's why we see so much disaster and fear and anger, all of these things outpicturing on the planet, because it's being pushed aside so the light can shine through. It's like breaking up an ice floe so that the pure water can reach the hearts and minds of the consciousness of this planet. And so no one person is going to either lift up or destroy what is about to happen. What is happening now as we speak. The dark and the light are in a power struggle for this planet, but it has been going on for a long time. But now it is in the last stages. This is the Ashaton of days, the last days, the latter days. And we must stay focused on the light while understanding and receiving the whole picture and how the darkness works with the light. Because from our position of polarity, we are not seeing the whole picture. There's a higher polarity, a higher duality that is in alignment, so that the dark and the light work in alignment to open up and receive higher consciousness. By that I mean that the dark, as we call it, is really an emptiness. It's a void. It's without knowledge. It's without insight. And within that darkness, evil can fester. But darkness is not evil. Darkness is the cover of night. It is the cover of the becoming. What is to become out of darkness but the next dawn? And that is the focus we need to hold. What do we wish to fill that darkness with? The light of the new dawn.